Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So, guys, this hit me as interesting for many reasons because as I've shared, I think it's inevitable that we are in the time frame that is going to see the breakup of the United States as we know it, and I am on record going back to 2017, the first videos I've ever did, some of the first ones. We're talking about what I had always felt, and this is just what the guides have always given me, that we will see the breakup of the states. It's also part of a bigger plan, I think, that's going on as we're looking at that 1776 "Don't Tread on Me" flag. And when I think of that flag, I do think about like New Hampshire. And New Hampshire is a gorgeous state. It's absolutely beautiful. And as you can see, it's in New England. It's in the Northeast. And if we were to paint this either blue or red or purple, being the state's leanings, New Hampshire's a little unique island up there in the Northeast. Very, very independent minded. And talking about independent minded, we see Lawmaker wants New Hampshire to declare independence. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A New Hampshire lawmaker is pushing for a referendum asking the state's voters if they want to secede from the United States. State Representative Mike Sylvia, a Belmont Republican, said he has filed a proposed constitutional amendment that would ask voters in the 2022 midterm elections to break ties with D.C. and become a separate nation state. In an interview, Sylvia said he filed the measure in response to the federal government's actions to prevent the spread of the plague upon the land, including the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's eviction ban, and more recently, number 46's mandate requiring federal workers to get you-know-what. There are hundreds of examples of the federal government overstepping its authority, he told the Center Square. Enough is enough. We should put this before the voters to decide. And do you know, I was looking and saw there was a survey done where the vast majority of Americans couldn't even name the three branches of government.
Mm-hmm.
Basic stuff that people don't realize. And that's so sad.
Well, they want people to be kept in the dark. They don't want people to know too much. Just enough so that they can go out and spend their 8-hour shift running some company for one of the elites, and that's really all they want people to know.
So he said that while secession would likely mean a loss of federal funding and other support from Washington, there would also be benefits for New Hampshire residents, such as not having to pay federal income tax. New Hampshire, by the way, has no state income tax. We are a donor state that pays out more in federal income taxes than we get back. If cleared for the ballot, the referendum would read New Hampshire peaceably declares independence from the United States and immediately proceeds as a sovereign nation. All other references to the United States in this Constitution, state statutes, and regulations are nullified. The long-shot proposal, which was filed with the Office of Legislative Services, would need to be considered in the next legislative session that gets underway in January. To make it to the ballot, the measure would need to be approved by 60% vote in the GOP-controlled House and Senate before it could be put before voters in the 2022 elections. Under state law, it wouldn't require approval from Republican Governor Chris Sununu. The move is backed by a conservative group called Liberty Bloc, which says New Hampshire voters haven't had the chance to reevaluate their relationship with the federal government in hundreds of years. And, I included, too, a second take on it for you guys to look at. I'll have both links for you. So, we've talked to so many of our family members, in our energy work sessions and coaching and everything that we do, the Vedic charts. And, there's a lot of them that are up in the, New England area, Northeast, that would consider New Hampshire. New Hampshire's the state that pops up. And again, it's a gorgeous state. It's beautiful. It's got amazing mountains and rolling hills. It actually has a little bit of a seashore. and it has that independent mind also, which is lacking perhaps in some of the other states. You know, we have friends in Massachusetts and Connecticut and all over the Northeast, again, that would consider it. And, you know, it might be an option for people. You know, again, no income tax is always something that will draw people to it. So if you don't want to totally change your scenery, but you want to look for a place that, you know, it does believe in personal freedoms, this state might be one that might resist certain edicts. And it's obvious it's starting where, you know, we've seen the governors of Florida and of Texas and of other places like South Dakota again. There's quite a few governors that are just saying, no, we're not going to just roll over. We do not believe in what's coming down. And when you look at it, if I would love to put it to a vote, if we could resurrect the founding fathers, all those that signed the Declaration of Independence, and ask them to vote on what they are seeing come out of the federal government right now, they would vote it all down in a heartbeat. They would actually, you know, I'm sure they would evict the current number 46 so fast, they'd probably try to put them on the first boat back to the UK. Sorry, UK.
I know. Sorry, UK. Absolutely. There's so many people that are fed up with the system and who were okay with the way things used to be. And it would be a beautiful thing if we could roll things back. But it just seems like things have gone too far and we're not going to have the ability to roll things back the way it used to be. So we'll have to just start over with a new system.
Yeah, and it's fascinating, as we mentioned again, being that we are people that pay attention to astrology and Vedic astrology in particular. But still, it's interesting that there's a Pluto transit, and this is the first Pluto transit. And again, this is how the matrix works. It's not like just looking at your sun sign, like the old Gene Dixon, you know, column that would be there in the paper, and you look at your sun sign. No, and in Vedic astrology, the sun sign's not even really preeminently important. You have to look at everything. We do live in a matrix, but we do have free will at the same time, and we can affect change in this matrix. And the power structure is not what was originally intended by the founders of this country, albeit, yes, you know, many of them were Freemasons. Many belonged to secret societies, and perhaps some had ulterior motives going on as well. This is not what was intended. Is the federal government overreaching? Yeah, but there's been all these constitutional amendments, there's been these executive orders that have just created a situation where there is a horrible imbalance right now. Fascinating to see, you know, the quote unquote Federal Reserve is being looked into, and some of the people that are running some of the Federal Reserve banks, and again, they're privately owned, they're just labeled federal, but it's not the case. They're privately owned. Again, that's just all part of this illusion that we find ourselves in, that we need to extricate ourselves out of, because, you know, there is no more life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and justice, true justice. You know, what we have is most definitely a system that is not even, you know, geared towards separating the rich from the rest of us. It's geared towards absolute, total dictatorial control.
It's really awful. It really is. And you know, the only way out is out, but the system has us all so entrenched. It's like we really still need to use the system just to get out of the system. And it's not fair. You know, there's so many things that could be said that are just completely unfair about how entrenched we are. But we need to take it in baby steps, you know, just baby steps. Do what you can to become self-sufficient.
You know, and I view this as, I do view this as a positive, because you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be in states that are going to enforce certain mandates. And here, at least you have a place that's surrounded by blue, where, worst case scenario, you're living in New York State, you're living in Massachusetts, you're living in Connecticut, Rhode Island, you might be able to feasibly uproot your family and get into New Hampshire to have a little freedom, just putting it out there, without having to go all the way down to Texas, Florida, or out of the country even. So I think if we end up getting some of these bastions of hope and human freedom coming first and foremost, the decision, that you make up the decisions for your own body, your family makes up, they decide their own decisions for their bodies. It's kind of a basic human right, it's just, we have to. We have to make a stand at this point in time, and it's good to see some are. So it shall be very interesting to see the election cycle in 2022, and even more to see 2022 heading towards that 2024 election cycle. And the change, I think, that's going to come in that period is going to be just staggering.
It'll be a welcome change. I don't want to see anybody get hurt, and we don't condone any violence, but what I do see happening, and I'm really grateful, is that people are standing their ground. People are standing their ground, and they're not being pushed around, and they're helping other people stand their ground. So that's a great thing, and with that, we'll get change.
Yeah, as it says, a peaceful separation, a peaceful secession. So, good luck, New Hampshire.
Good luck, New Hampshire.
Thank you guys for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. We couldn't do it without you. Check out Medicinal Food. Links are on every video up at the top. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.